And welcome back to our not Stonehenge Lonehenge build. This time we're going to be using a Vallejo black primer on the entirety of the model. Now you can avoid doing this by mixing some craft paint in with your Mod Podge that you put over the whole entire thing, and you leave a great surface and it'll turn out black anyway, just like this. But I chose this way. It's just as expensive. Making sure you get in on all the cracks and crevices, turn it upside down, turn it all different kinds of ways. And we're going to start by doing a base coat of Castle Gray, which is a good gray from Army Painter. It's cheap paint, and cover the entirety of the rocks and the bricks and the stones in its entirety. This is our base coat, which is an okay color. Usually I go with a more blue color as a base coat, but this Castle Gray looks pretty cool and a little bit different. And just, there you go, you just cover the whole entire thing with a good base coat. And next step is the wash. Now, I don't recommend spending a $9 bottle of Nuln Oil, but since I have tons of it, I went ahead and used it. But you're only going to be putting it on the rocks, so it doesn't use a ton, but it uses more than you probably want to. You can make a black wash with just some black craft paint and some water and some kind of medium as well, just to kind of thicken it up a little bit. And the next step, we're going to go back to our Castle Gray, and we're going to dry brush it Castle Gray again, and then we're going to go with a Stone Gray. And if I'm going too fast for you guys, just pause it and you can go find your place. You can keep your place and go find these colors. So we're going to do a kind of a heavy dry brush of Castle Gray, and then we're going to go with the Vallejo model color Stone Gray and do a heavy dry brush over everything we just dry brushed with the Castle Gray. And you get a look like this, which is pretty sweet. The next step, so a couple brushes, one small, one large, and we're going to use Silver Gray. Silver Gray is going to be the highest highlight that we're going to use on the stones, and I just use a towel to wipe off the paint because it's so big, and I would just dab it in, and we'll do a little bit lighter of a dry brush. This one an actual dry brush. All the other ones were kind of over brushing, but it's still considered a dry brush. Just make sure you get all the edges all the way around the entire piece, even in the crevices, and it starts to pop, and you'll notice that you're like, oh wow, it's starting to look like a stone, as you can see right there. And when you're finished, it'll look a little bit like this, which is just awesome. It's really coming together. So now that all of our stone has been dry brushed fully, we're going to move on to the path. I want to kind of have, I'm using Luke App's Patchy Plains, and not Patchy Plains, but Forest Path, and also his glue, his polyurethane glue, which is wonderful, by the way. It holds up really well. You can use Elmer's, but I want to make sure I have put down the paths first. As you can see, just sprinkling it on, letting that dry for about 24 hours before I move on to the next step of flocking, and you have a little path. Now, I also wanted to put some rock. I'm putting little footprints in there, and I also wanted to, here's the completed look of the path, and around the actual bricks itself, it kind of builds it up. Let that dry for about 24 hours. I didn't. I let it dry for about 2 or 3, just because I wanted to move on. And we're going to flock it now with Luke App's awesome polyurethane Elmer's type glue, which just put a bunch of spots out there and cover it as much as you think, and grab a brush and a little bit of water and spread it around the area that you're wanting grass and flocking. And we're going to grab some Patchy Plains, and which is Geek Gaming Scenics, or Luke App's stuff, which is wonderful stuff. It's already pre-mixed. I don't have to go through a bunch of flocking and steps with that. It's super easy. and make sure you get the edges, and make sure you wipe off the edges at the bottom so it doesn't stick to your board. Just cover it, spread it out, wipe off your brush, and grab the patchy planes and just pinch it on there like you're taking a pinch of salt. Spreading it out all over where the glue is, making sure to get in the crevices, and you end up with something that looks like this. It's awesome. So for 24 hours, let that sit before you clean all the excess off. So before I do that, we're going to take bronze and paint that little cauldron or whatever that's in the center piece, just to accent everything. Maybe Agrex Earth Shade over the top, right there. And a little bit of realistic water after that Agrex Earth Shade is completely dried. I have this already pre-dyed from when I used it before, and it's got a little bit of a jade tint to it. So there you have it, folks. There is the finished product. I'm really happy with it. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, ta-ta, and I will catch you in my next video.